Okay, today let's take advantage of the situation. We started today, we are announcing that we're going to implement the redemption program, the retirement and the redemption of all historical assets through our accounts that were earned from trade for more than 38 years. These assets were traded for more than 38 years and accumulated so much funds that they converted it into digital, but it's designed to finance global infrastructure projects. It's designed to finance humanity's needs. So these are also assets that were accumulated by us and traded to facilitate the Bretton Woods Convention Agreement, 1944, which is the to create a surplus of money to fund infrastructure development until those war-torn countries are fully developed. It just happened that they stop using these funds and they start using it for other things. Now we are in the position that we have the code and access for these funds. Let's utilize it for the greater goods of mankind. I wanted to announce to everybody that this has nothing to do, these funds has nothing to do with Marcos' work, even though my last name is Marcos. These are funds that were traded. It just happened that I am one of the person who traded it. So let's set the record straight. These are managed by us and also designated in 850 accounts in the green books that could be utilized for monetizing all instruments, including currencies. This is the beginning of our journey to help each other and to forget our differences first. And let's build the world first. Let's do it right for humanity. I have in front of me two instruments that issued out by the U.S. Department of Treasury in the form of U.S. securities. This IBOE will be distributed worldwide and will be monetized and traded. We will pledge this IBOE to get virtual credit, cash credit, and pledge it to the bank and issue out administrative policy. And then utilize it for trade and use it for the projects worldwide. Each country has an entitlement up to $1 trillion to pay their national debt and to develop their countries. And whatever the needs of every country in form of development, humanitarian, and so on. We have signed treaty with the UN, so the UN will be our vehicle to enforce the distribution of funds. We have signed treaty or joint task force with several governments to facilitate the distribution of funds and funding of projects. Whatever we're doing now under GDPA, GDPA is a non-political sovereign nation that has 3.2 billion members. We will gather ourselves together, we'll put our effort together so we can secure the work. The difference now between 1944 and today, we have the availability of the funds. We have the availability of the assets that we could use. During that time in 1944, we only producing. We have enough time already for more than 50 years that we have it now. So now we need to use it to facilitate funding for every projects. I'm making this announcement. It started on the 10th of September. We will monetize or redeem currencies in every instrument. We will also assign gold to back it up all these countries' currencies in order for the country to qualify under Basel IV, Basel III compliance. GDPA will do that for them, to share the same goal that we assigned during the trilateral and bilateral agreement. We'll do it this time. We'll do it right. We passed the Basel III, Basel IV compliance. So this is how we're going to do it. We will start first with redeeming of all these currencies, ZIM, IQDs, Pichelis, and all other gold-backed securities. And then we will underwrite it, issue a administrative policy, and create virtual credit to cash credit, and then pledge it to the bank, and the credit line or the credit facilities will trade it to facilitate funding the projects. And that's simple. So it started today. I'm announcing as the Secretary General of GDPA that we will help the other agency worldwide for everything that they need from us, including giving them funding to implement their charter and to help humanity. Good morning to everyone, and if you have any question, I'm here. Undersecretary Kurt.
Honorable Marcos, there are numerous individuals that claim to be you, that claim to be M1, that claim to be in a position to facilitate the redemption. Would you please clarify your position in that?
Well, there's a lot of people that claiming to be me, Well, it's good in a sense that they're trying to be, but at least my rejection is they should at least show that they know what they're doing. They cannot replace me because I'm the M1. I have the code with me. It goes with my biometric. It goes with my rights. It goes with my knowledge. And it goes also with the possession of the assets. That's why the LOI, the buyer is the seller is the buyer. So the other agencies or other government, they wanted to be the one redeeming the assets because of their own personal or agenda. because of, they want to take part of the assets, which is the GDPA now, or sharing the assets.
Honorable Marcos, for those that have followed somebody that claimed to be you or claimed to have the ability to do the redemption or claimed to have the assets and the cash flow to do that, what is your advice to them now?
Well, they should be careful and more do their due diligence much better to interagencies, not with Google or not with internet or not with all these things. First of all, you can ask this question if they were around at that time, you know, if they were the participant at that time. You could ask this person, okay, if you're the M1, okay, what does that mean? What is this? What is your personal code? Who are you? Where you came from? How you were designated with this job? How you were appointed. Not because the committee or other organization appointed you doesn't mean you own the assets. The asset is here in this country. We never pull out any asset. We assign the assets to each country. We assign the gold to each country. We issue certificate on the gold that is sitting in this ground, not outside. That's why if you read the actual certificate, only several thousand metric tons was pulled out of this country, not 1.5 million metric tons, because we can't do it. And that's the fact. They need to know the facts of this asset. These assets belong to the world. Yes, we are only the, how do they call that?
Custodian.
Custodian or steward. All of us. But for the sake of the argument, you have to be careful because you will know that they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're talking about. The key question for them is how and where you discover the assets. And how old is these assets? Not 1944, not 19. These assets are 5,700 years old. So you can check the DNA or the gold have their own like fingerprint. You know, you can check the carbon dated of these assets, how old they are. And when you check, then you will realize, oh. And that's one way for them to expose those other claimants. Well, for me, it doesn't matter what they claim. As long as I have the asset, they cannot take it away from me.
Honorable Marcos, for those that may have fallen into that trap, perhaps summarizing, it's good for them to reassess where they're at, and then make a proper communication with GDPA to solidify any funding and or relationships, putting in everyone in the proper context. Is that a fair assumption at this point?
Yeah, they can always apply or they can always write us or communicate with us, ask for funding for any project as long as it's not detrimental to any families, as long as the project is not about destroying other countries or declaring a war. Yes, they can get funding for us.
Understood. And also, Honorable Marcos, the fact is in a body there's only one head and several other parts that operate. So the individual that will be handling on you or for you the redemption worldwide, who would they direct that to?
Well, they directed to me.
To you.
You know, I have several undersecretary on each countries. Yes, they will have I have authorized them to a certain degree. But when it goes to the redemption for payment, you have to go through GDPA, straight to GDPA.
Straight to JIF, but not through a secondary or tertiary organization.
The sub companies or other appointment that I made, they are very limited in redeeming assets. First of all, they don't control the accounts. Second of all, they go to another avenue. They don't follow the actual procedures that is registered for this redemption. That's the difference. There's 850 sovereign accounts worldwide, and most of them are off ledger. It can only be converted to on ledger by using asset exchange program. You have to activate it. Someone has to activate it. The only person that I know who can activate it is the one who control and own the code. If you own the code, some people, they ask for the help of the government, they ask for the help of the other interagencies, and then 1 year later they find out they cannot do it. So let's stop this wasting time. But those others, there's also others, please be aware that they are task force recovery. They're recovering asset for them. They take your data. They take all the serial numbers and everything, and they process and they claiming to be that is part of their redemption, which is nonsense. The minute you gave them your identity and all other stuff that belongs to the assets, you lose the assets. They can claim it, they redeem it. Or all they have to do is attest it with the supply of the government and the government agency. Who's going to question it? In the meantime, when they go to second compliance, they cannot pass it. Where the asset came from? Who owns the assets? You mean to say I myself assigned you the asset 50 years ago when you don't have the possession? You have the certificate, but you don't have the gold. Let's make that clear. The gold are here. We have 263 underground bunkers, 172 underground gold, 850 sites, and 6,000 untouched sites. That's what we have here.
Honorable Marcos, for those countries that have failed to comply with Basel III and Basel IV compliance, what do you see the future with them is?
They can cooperate with us. We will assign assets for them. This is a $1 trillion asset, gold back. They can utilize it. They can print money against it with their central banks. You know, so well, it is because Basel III, Basel IV, the outcome of Basel III, Basel IV, their currency will be demonetized or they'll lose its value. You know, so to prevent that, they can go to us to participate in the redemption also. They can participate because each country has their own asset that were assigned to them for redemption. And also there were assets that are assigned to them to be used as a backup reserve of their currency. That is the part of the bilateral, trilateral agreement and all other treaties, together with the creation of the IMF, World Bank, United Nations, like what I said a while ago, the 1944 Bretton Woods Convention Agreement. And that's what we have. Now, the reason being that the UN or other institutions cannot do their job because they don't have the funding itself. Now we're giving them funding so they can perform, so they can implement their charter. They're not depending on donation, they're not depending on other activities. This way, they're not beholden to anyone, including me, because the asset will be assigned to them as a grant.
But to follow the proper discourse for humanitarian.
Yes, as long as they follow the protocol, they follow the purpose, registered, earmark procedures.
Breach of contract is not following those, therefore you have the right in that case to withdraw. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a given that I have the right to send them a cease and desist for all those participants who refuse to follow protocol. But that's it. What can you don't need to become a rocket scientist just to follow the simple protocol. But you know, you have another one on the side which is green. Sometimes they put it in front of them. You know. So that's why I'm announcing this. So there is no miscommunication and no misrepresentation. And to those agents and other people who's recovering assets, they should stop it. It's a treason, for God's sake, to steal money that belong to countries and destroy countries. So I don't know where they get their authorities by stealing money that belong to countries or belong to humanities. GIB is one of the agencies that actually secure these assets, the Global Intelligence Bureau. So like what I said, today is the beginning of a hardship of work that we will be working together, cooperating together, united with every countries for humanity. If you have any more questions, I can answer.
Yes, Dr. Aranola, Undersecretary of Financial Affairs. What I would like to reiterate or re-ask is, with reference to redemption, these assets will be taken out of circulation by redemption. They're taking out of these toxic assets, but the main emphasis here is that the reason for that is to take and secure the resources for humanitarian projects, food projects, to get economies going, and for the people that have these assets to be able to fund projects. The purpose behind it is to fund projects.
Yes. Well, not only to fund project, is to eliminate all this garbage that is in the system. We're implementing global debt facilities and global debt forgiveness. So the countries supposedly have been will be given a debt forgiveness every 10 years or every 20 years, but they never done it. So they bury themselves with debt. We designed a platform for each country for redemption, to pay for the national debt, to pay for the infrastructure, to pay for humanitarian projects. Each country will have their own platform that will facilitate the funding for every project. So in this way, it will be balanced. Not because you're white, not because you're black, not because you're yellow, not because you're this, you cannot have this. No. The last time I checked, there's only one race here, which is human race. They can disagree with me, but that's my opinion, you know. So all of us are children of God. And they can correct me if I'm wrong. They can show me other things. But so far, that's what I know. And it's too obvious that we are all children of God, or else we cannot be involved with this body. The other things that is very important for everyone is not to be taken by the other so-called sovereign. Sovereign, how do you describe sovereign? When did you become sovereign? Who gave you the authority to become sovereign? And if you're a sovereign, how come you're using